starting.
Now.
No, it takes a while for the lives.
And also, I don't have the agenda.
Okay.
I'm going to call the meeting to order. We can do this virtually. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So our first item is the report on the deer management. I'm going to invite Peter Kelly up. And whoever else is going to join him, if you guys want to come join him.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Thank you. So this is the post-season report for this last season. I think I sent through. I don't know if you guys got all this. The printed report should be in there somewhere. So the season before last, we harvested 26 deer, and then last year 21 deer, and then this cumulative, so we have 47 deer over the past 2 years at an area, and it was so old, and all the deer have been donated. So it's 1,900 pounds of venison has gone to local people who need the food in the area. Most of them through the Hunters of Hungary. This is actually really pretty positive. So one of the things that Irvington did that was really good is we did 2 deer density surveys before we started deer management, and we did one in 2023 and then one in 2024 right before the management started. And the deer per square mile in those surveys came back at 141 in 2023 and then 133 in 2024. So we have sort of an average of 137. And then we did a deer density survey post the first year of deer management, and that came in at 65 per square mile. So at a 52% reduction in the deer population in the areas that this survey took place, which is actually really pretty good. I ran some numbers, so we did the same thing up at T-Town, and at T-Town we had in 5 years we were able to get forest regeneration, and that first year you're going to get the most deer. That first year we had a 33% reduction, so this is actually ahead of that, which is really pretty good. And we also did deal with that. So the deer movement this year was a little bit different than the previous year. I mean, I don't know how interesting this is to anybody, but we didn't have many acorns in the area, so a lot of the deer were. If you live in the village, you'll probably notice that a lot of the deer are more in the residential areas, not as much in the woods because there weren't as many acorns. The previous year there was actually a mass crop, so there were more deer in the Irvington woods themselves.
Can I ask a question
Sure.
there? So I think we get sort of this question from residents, which is, how is the deer management program? I see more deer on my street. How are those things related or not related?
Well, that's actually directly related to what's happening with their food resources. So the deer on their street, I'm not managing on people's streets. I'm managing in the Irvington woods and some of the other properties. And the deer typically are staying in a home range of 200 to 400 acres. That's typically how the does. We're trying to harvest does. They stay in this smaller home range. The bucks will move about. But this last year, when there wasn't as many acorns available in the Irvington woods, the deer are going into people's yards. So you'll notice this now going forward that some years you'll see a lot of deer on your street. Some years you won't see any. That's based off of food. So even if they're seeing deer, we've taken the 47 out of the area. So most of those are being harvested in the Irvington woods. So they'll be there. It's basically based on food, and they might even be living in those areas. Then those deer might not be able to get into those populations unless they go into the areas where I'm actually managing it. Does that make sense? Is that kind of helpful?
The range where they go, like how far these deer are. And I'm not sure you don't have to guess. I'm sure.
No, I know. They've researched all out of this stuff, and because we're trying to focus on does, because does are the cattle for reproduction. Yeah. The bucks, you're taking one deer in the woods. If you can take bucks, you'll take them, but they don't have the advantage of decreasing in population. Their home range is 200 to 400 acres. So the does typically will stay where they're born. So they have all these different theories. That's called the rose petal theory. So the home group, the females will stay where they were born. Once the males, so it's a 200 to 400 acre range, and that depends a lot on food. So
Well, that's what I was wondering. You're
Yeah.
talking about the food being like I know there's tons of acorns.
Yeah.
Like off of Main Street.
Yeah.
I live on Dutch Road on the corner.
Okay.
And you see the herds like going
there
back
we
and
go.
forth.
They're
Right.
coming.
Are they the same? They're not. Are they the same deer? That's a far range for them.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends. I'd have to see it on the map, but it's pretty far to where the Irvington Woods are. We did management of Halsey too, and they were in there a lot early on for the acorns. 'Cause early on, there were a lot of white oaks available.
So you're also talking about the neighbors around.
Yeah, it's going to be the neighbors around that. So, and the primary goal with the program is to get forestry generations in the Irvington Woods. So that's where I'm doing the management. So, but the bucks are totally different. So the bucks will have a range of 5 miles, and because what they're doing is, and it's during the different times of the year, they may have small home ranges like the does. It depends on how old they are. They may like stay in a few hundred acres, sometimes even smaller. But when it comes to the breeding season, which is in the fall, they will go as far and wide as possible to find does to breed. And because there's so much buck hunting, there's a lot of there's a lot of money made in hunting trophy deer. They've studied this a lot. And sometimes bucks if you have a buck that lives in your neighborhood, he might go 5 miles and stay there for 3 months, and then he'll come back. It's pretty wild. And some stay right where they are. So the bucks are all kind of all over the place. So one of the bucks that I harvested in Dobbs Ferry, because we did a program in Dobbs Ferry this year, was living in the early part of the season in Halsey, and then he went over to Dobbs Ferry and was harvested over there. It was the same deer. The does would not probably typically travel that far. So.
Pete and I were in touch obviously all season, and I would always tell him what I was seeing in my neighborhood because I walked to Halsey Pond from my neighborhood, and I would tell him about how I have one neighbor who the does love her yard and we're feeling very safe. And then a certain time of day, I had does that I could see pass through my neighbors I could see from my backyard. And then there's this one buck that Pete nicknamed because one of his antlers is straight. It doesn't curl. So it's sort of like a stick. So anyway, we were talking and I saw a lot of deer, and I live in Cedar Ridge, and I saw a lot of does this year.
Yeah, probably if we have acorns again this year, it probably will be less.
Right.
But there are a lot less deer in that area, especially in the Irvington Woods and Halsey and so on.
Is the acorn harvest, do we know what it's going to be this year?
Typically not. So all of a sudden you'll have a mass crop, and that'll move the deer around a lot. That's one of their primary food sources. So sometimes depending on how much moisture there is, that has an impact on it. But that's unknown at this point, I think, at least as far as I know. So you're always at sort of at the end of the summer, you're using binoculars to actually look on the trees to see what the acorn crop's going to be in certain areas, especially certain trees, and it depends on the oaks as well. The white oaks are very sweet, and they drop early. The deer really like those. And then the red oaks, they have more tannins in them. They're a lot more bitter, but they will eat those later in the season. So it changes throughout the season. So sometimes you'll see a lot of deer in your yard, in your neighborhood, because of certain trees dropping. Then they'll disappear again. They go somewhere else because they're off eating something else. So one of the other really good signs is the village has actually hired Michael Coyne to do a flyover. He does a thermal drone flyover, and he didn't do it before we started management, but he did it right after the first year, and he came up with 77 deer in a 400-acre area. The two areas that I did the camera trap survey and where he flew over the drone aren't exactly the same, but they're very much overlap. In the first year, he came up with 77 deer, and then the following year, this last season, he came up with 27 in that same area, which is a 65% reduction in the same area, which is really pretty good. And then we also just, as regionally, I touched on this before, we did a deer management program in Dobbs Ferry, and 19 deer were harvested in that program. And they're crisscrossing in and out of the two villages. ranges. So there's definitely overlap. In their report, 2 of the deer that I harvested in Irvington actually came right out of Knott's Ferry. So they're going back and forth. So 19 deer there, and then the 21 here. So in the last 2 seasons, we have 66 deer out of this area. And so in order to talk about the main goal is to have the browse reduction. You have other benefits with lower deer population, but the browse reduction, and it's estimated that each deer will eat about 2,000 pounds of browse and mast. So this last season, we have a reduction of 42,000 pounds of browse of stuff that they're eating in the woods and around your houses as well. And then over the last 2 years, that would be 94,000 pounds that these deer would have not harvested. And then if you guys hadn't done the deer program at all, I was talking to a colleague about this, and they mentioned this, which I think is sort of interesting. You have 2 years of the 26 deer that we harvested the year before also browsing. So it's a cumulative thing. So every year you have those deer you take out, they're not browsing, and if you didn't manage them, they'd be continuing to browse and have full-ons, and the population would be going up. So that's the report. Any questions or thoughts or?
And Dobbs Ferry is continuing its program
Yeah,
this year.
they actually voted it through last night, so we're going ahead with that as well, which is great for the area. The regional effort is really good because everything's so close.
Are there any changes proposed for the program this year, or is the same as?
It would be pretty much the same. There's a possibility of maybe adding there like one small village property north of the Irvington Woods. I'm not sure what the exact name of the property is. I haven't even looked at it yet. If it's something that I can get in and actually manage with the correct distances and stuff, but it is a village piece that would be great to add. And also possibly if there's anything to do for dogs off leash are sort of makes it very difficult to predict where the deer are going to be. And then when the deer are finally there and people's dogs are running around off leash, they run the deer all over the place. And it makes it very difficult to manage the deer with reasonable predictability. So those are the 2 possible thoughts or possible changes.
The issue with the dogs off leash happening at that early hours that you're doing this?
Oh yeah, well it's because the early hours are doing it, so the management's taking place, typically from very early in the morning, so probably about 9. So the people are walking their dogs. Yeah. So and it's not even. It happens occasionally when I'm out there. So I'm using as much data as possible to minimize my time out there. So I'm out as little as possible, but as little pressure on the deer as possible, and manage them at the highest odds possibility. But because I have cameras out that are there, they're sort of figuring out what the deer are doing. I will see like a group of deer, and then a dog goes running past, and those deer run off. So the dogs off leash are running the deer not only when I'm out there, but all the time, and they're pushing the deer around. So
The long-term impact is that the deer will just potentially stay permanently on private property.
or in the village, or
Yeah.
where they're not getting chased.
Right. And so it
Yeah.
becomes,
Yeah.
you can't get them. You can't get to them.
Yeah, so the deer, if they're bedded down in a certain area and a dog comes through and chases them a couple days in a row, they're going to find someplace else to bed down. Maybe not where they're manageable.
I think the thing with the dogs is there's a limited number of egregious violators. And it's not that many people. We've got the dog walker, who is a big problem. And then there are maybe half a dozen other people, and that's it.
A lot of the same dogs.
So, same dog, same people. So I think somehow in the village, we need to be more aggressive about this, because it's actually costing us more money because it makes life more difficult for him to get the deer. And that's a problem. So that's something on another time we need to discuss how we're going to do that enforcement area. And I know the Woods Committee has been, pulling their hair out for years, dealing with that.
Yeah. I mean, I know, Zoe, you want to talk a little bit about the signage that you're going to do, and I think the next step is going to maybe be talking to the police about some enforcement, which we have to maybe follow up with them on.
Yes, I think Maureen forwarded you the final mock-up that the Woods Committee proposes. We are going to have those made, and CJ and I will get them up. We're going to put them up at 7 entrances, they're official and unofficial entrances that we've noticed, bulk of the traffic comes from. And I think that that's an important part, first step is sort of posting the rules so that people can't pretend that they don't know what they are or that there aren't any. And then, yes, I would I'd like to pick the conversation back up with the police officers or about how we can, work together, because it's not just deer management that's impacted, but there are people who are being, having dogs approach them when they're in the woods, bike riders and walkers. And people have been bitten in the last couple of years. People have very nasty interactions with dog owners who refuse. They think it's somehow a right. And there are people, anyway, so I think that would be a benefit to the community to have the leash law enforced in the woods. I know it's difficult, but.
Is there any talk of like coordinating with the police when you're doing the work, so that like if their presence is there, perhaps the people who are, if they're driving in to bring their dogs, like discouraged?
No, we haven't coordinated with the, this year we did not coordinate with IPD when Peter was in the woods. And there hasn't been, he's not where the walkers enter. It's when a dog
Indirect.
finds a deer
Yeah.
and goes running after them.
The management's not taking
trail.
place during trails, it's taking place pretty far away from the
Okay,
trails.
all right.
So that's why the dogs on the leash are fine. Because the deer are used to where the people are moving and people are walking dogs. So I'll have pockets that I'm actually pretty far away from the trails, which are great because the deer learn that that's a safe place. But then the dog will run through a couple of days in a row, and then they won't go back there. And I don't, sometimes I don't know where they are. I can't find that population again. So
Yeah, we also have we've had some conversations with the police and the challenges of enforcement in the woods and
I'm sure.
hopefully if we're getting fully staffed, we'll have more shifts where there's people available to do it, enforcement.
Well, their basic problem is, it's actually not that much, but they're not going to stand there in the woods all day waiting for somebody to come with a dog. That's a whole nother employee for, the time. So the problem is identifying these people and getting a warning to them. And maybe we can do that with cameras or something like that. We can't necessarily find them with that, but we can definitely approach them and let them know that what they're doing is not legal and we intend to enforce it. But we've talked about that for a long time, and we don't have a good method of efficiently identifying who these people exactly are. And that's what we need to come up with, whether it's the police doing it or anyone else doing it.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. So our next item is vegetation survey
Vegetarian
proposals. Everyone's gonna be vegetarian. Okay. Okay. So that's you, Zoe.
Well, I'm here to answer any questions that people have about the two proposals and pick up the conversation from what I presented.
Sorry, do you mind speaking into the microphone?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just here to answer any questions about Danielle's two proposals and follow up.
Yeah. Do you want to just talk briefly about the two different options?
Sure.
And we can talk why. I know that before you all did it. Anyways, I'll let you talk
sure.
about it. Yes.
So the two proposals are one, to continue what we did last year, which is have volunteers collect the data in the summertime and Danielle write the report. The other option is for Danielle to collect the data and write the report. We consulted the grant writer just as a cross-reference to ask her about Danielle's reports and about whether there could be any impact of using volunteers for future grant applications, if there could. And she sees no issue because Danielle provided us the protocol that the volunteers are using. So it's, I asked Danielle to prepare both of these based on conversation we had around her report in the spring. Sorry, fall, sorry. And anyway, so I just asked her to make both proposals for your consideration.
So the first one would be volunteers, which is what we did before, and the second one would be she would provide it.
She would do it all of it.
She would do all. And her opinion was that it wasn't necessary. She felt, what did she feel? Was there,
She feels it's entirely fine to have volunteers collecting the data. And that was, she was fine with that. So she only provided the second option at my request.
and I guess, do you have, so the volunteers are trained already to do this?
5 or 6 of us were trained by her. A few of us were there were only a few of us who were available last summer to do it. And so we had to train some new volunteers. That is one sort of issue. It is early August that we do the survey, and having people available, it's tricky, unpredictable. But I felt comfortable with the collection, and I was there. CJ is very knowledgeable and experienced with data collection. He was there as well. So, it is a known sort of variant that everybody has different plans during the summer, so people scatter. But
Do we think we would have any concerns this summer getting volunteers that could do this well?
I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope not. I mean, I know that I will make myself available. And CJ last year trained some of his summer interns. So I assume if he has those interns again, which he plans to, we would train them. And the rest of the members, we do our best to plan it out, to put it on people's calendars, but it is sort of a bit of a gamble.
The reason we're doing all of this is that this data is critical to the next grant that we apply for. And critical even for the $400,000 grant we have now, that we include this kind of data in it. So if you remember last year, Mitch questioned the protocol. So we don't want the grantor who's giving us money to be questioning our protocol. So that's one of the reasons why we asked her to come up with 2 proposals. And then we went back to Fiona, who is, I guess, our best word as to, is there any question that this protocol might be questioned and might be a problem in terms of getting the grant or not? And she is apparently now saying that the way we're doing it, the way we did it last year is fine, as long as we, do all the right data. And I think we are in a particularly good circumstance because CJ seems to be like way and beyond with a data analysis collection individual. He just, that's, anytime does anything.
So,
That speaks the
thank you.
language.
I really appreciate you reminding us all of that. I do recall the conversation. I do want a little reminder of what's the kind of data you're collecting, and so just give me a sense of the type of thing you're standardizing.
Sure. So there are
I see a
8 or
bullet
9
breakdown.
research plots that Danielle established, and we go out sort of early August and we collect every plant growing, collect the height, and we identify the species, and then Danielle writes a report about the changes from year to year. It's a way for you and the community to know how the deer management program is working.
And you do photo evidence as well. So
Yes, she included those last year in last
Yeah.
year's report.
I remember that was one of the things that had come up. It's a helpful way to standardize it, right? Photos
It just helps to have, yeah, I mean, her protocol is one that she's developed and has used across multiple properties. But I think that the photographic evidence is just helpful.
And forest regeneration is the final product here.
You want to measure how much.
Even if we
regeneration is
eliminated
happening.
every deer, and if the trees aren't growing, then.
Yeah, no, right. I
So-
recall that. I think the question was like, are they collecting data in a consistent way that you can measure the data over time so that it's a consistent way? I know, I recall Mish's concern, but if you can standardize that with multiple people, it's not like science is done by like one scientist, it's usually a group, a team.
Yeah, we know we have documentation of the protocol that Danielle created and we follow that protocol.
I mean, I think that if you have a standardized protocol, it seems like it wouldn't be a problem for a grant.
And Fiona, actually, I think that the community involvement is a very positive thing to be able to talk about in the grants we have and any grant applications going forward. I think that is seen as,
That's a plus.
yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, I think the data collection is like an incredibly important part, obviously, and I think it seems like having more people in the community understand it and understand how to do it and trained in it is like a really important thing that we want to have that knowledge like in Irvington. So I think, I was gonna ask Zoe like what your recommendation is, but like if we have volunteers that can do it and are trained, it feels like that's a better thing anyway, just for us to have the knowledge. The only issue I think is if we don't have people to do it.
I think it's absolutely one for the students. I think it's, like you said, it's great training. And I also think it's great just having people out in the woods and seeing for themselves what's happening. The only issue if we have volunteers is that it will just take us more days. I think really, I think as long as we have few, like that's all we need. It just, it just takes us a little bit longer. That's all.
Can I ask a question about timing? Because as you're really aware, the core grant kicked off recently, and so part of that work is going to involve work by an arborist, and there's been a conversation about utilizing CJ for that grant supported arborist role. So, assuming he's going to be busy doing the work for that grant, do you assume that he's going to be available? Because if you don't get any volunteers, let's say worst case scenario, he doesn't get any interns either, then it's just you. Because
So he's like, no, it's not.
I'm raising it because,
He's like, I
because
don't
what we have before us is an alternative to that,
That's right.
which is to pay more money to have someone else do it who we know will be there.
Right.
I would suggest there might be another alternative. Can we incentivize our volunteers a little?
With
Well, there could be a financial incentive.
That's not a
volunteer.
But I don't know, with
I mean,
their
I think. if our-
college application process.
I mean, that would already be part of it.
Yeah, because it's our intern.
Yeah.
I think just listening to you, I feel comfortable that, with following her protocol and with the volunteers that we have, that we'll be able to do it. If you're confident that we can do it, I think I don't feel any need to change what we've done before.
I'm confident. Charles brings up good points. Yes, I do assume that CJ would be available at least a little bit to help with the training at a minimum. But there's sort of it's an unknown how much time the core grant will take. It's unknown at this point how many interns he'll have. But I think that.
But you have.
We have Warren and Chet.
Yeah.
I can't quite see you. She's covering you, but I know you're back there. I know you're back there.
I guess I'm also wondering, like, can we go with the volunteer plan? And if it turns out for whatever reason, we need additional support, I'm assuming we can reach out and try and get additional help at that point, right? Like,
I think Danielle wants to help us.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly the good news, is even in the plan, the lower price plan, Danielle is doing the data analysis. If she looks at that data and says, hey, you guys aren't doing the right stuff here. I don't understand this.
Right,
She's gonna bring that up
Yeah.
and it will have to be corrected because she's not gonna rubber stamp
right.
something that's not, correct.
Okay.
It's to Zoe's point, even if we have fewer people, it will just take longer, but we'll still get it done. I don't think it's going to be a problem.
Okay, great. Okay. So I'm all for that lower price plan. All about saving the village money. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Zoe.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. So our next item is DPW budget. Budget workshop. Welcome, Todd.
How are you?
Thanks for your patience.
No worries. You're gonna go.
Yeah, we'll go line by line. So as with all the other departmental workshops, the cover sheet highlights any changes from the current budget that we have. So the first department is Department 1440 Engineer. And the 5,206 change is reflective of the current salary on that line. That's the only change there. The next department is Central Garage. So the gasoline line, we're actually decreasing that by 25,000. And that's based on what we're seeing in actual expenses now as a result of switching most of the village fleet to hybrid and electric vehicles and gas vehicles.
Do we know like what the offset is on the utility side for that, like the electricity that we're using for those vehicles?
So that
That's what I tried to look for. I couldn't necessarily find it
utility line.
because it did not.
It
should be
is-
450, 50, 10, 455. Right?
Yes. So that line, I think last year we increased that, anticipating that it may need to increase more, but looking at current costs and even anticipating a little bit of a NIPA increase, we don't see a need to increase that line for next year.
And just remember, the police hybrids aren't plugins. So they're,
Oh, they charge from the gas?
so they're not plugins. Only the plugins we have are our EVs. And yours a plug-in, Jim? Yes, his gas hybrid as well, so.
Okay.
They have the parking enforcement vehicle.
Yeah, the park enforcement vehicle, the two Lightnings and the building department.
Oh, that's
Everything
great.
else is, yeah.
That's a huge decrease.
So you're saying from those vehicles, we've saved $25,000?
Another reasoning is the ambulance went from diesel to gas. Gas is cheaper, through our contracts, through our state contracts. Both ambulances that were newly purchased are gas. They're not diesel. That saves some money too as well.
the
So this
ambulance-
fuel cost is just gasoline, it's not diesel.
It's combined.
But still, we're $25,000.
Correct.
So that seems awfully good. And most of these vehicles, weren't there grants associated with acquiring them?
There were the three most recent purchases, I think it was a DPW building and.
That was for the EV Lightnings. That's correct.
And that was through a grant, and then there was also a clean energy reimbursement that we got through like a tax filing.
And that was
the IRS.
That was for the Blazers, I believe.
Yeah.
Three Blazers, yes.
So this is like really positive, unless I'm missing something.
No, it's positive. And we didn't have to increase the corresponding utility line, so.
Right, well, you
Great.
did increase the utilities here and there.
For
in
the
different
street,
places.
the street lights,
And
so
you're saying
that's
because of
separate.
the NIPIC increases,
Yes,
and not because of extra charging.
correct.
Right. Although you're running those chargers off the streetlight line?
No, the 1.5182455,
that utility line is strictly for streetlights. No chargers are ran off of that line. The charging for the vehicles would vary by the location it's being charged at, but for the street administration, that utility line is the 1.5010455.
So are those charging stations separately metered, or do we know how much that's costing us?
No, so I think that meter includes the building and the charging stations, and yeah, it would all be on the same meter. So charging stations and the building.
So the park is the senior center and et
Those
cetera.
chargers, yeah.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand it and see what happens there. I guess the only bad news is Ford is no longer making the truck.
They're not?
They canceled all
Oh, really?
the F-100 all electrics.
The Lightnings.
The Lightnings, yeah, gone.
It's Rivians.
How about the Tesla? Okay, moving on.
Yes. So the next line we have a change on in the central garage department is the uniform line. And that's an increase in the uniform cleaning costs, and that's part of the union contract. They can either choose, well, this department, it's the cleaning cost of the uniform there. So then we'll jump to Department 5010, Street Administration, the Personnel Services line, the 7,758 increase is reflective of current salaries and any step increases for the CSEA contract. And just remember that contract expires 5/31/26. The part-time labor line is the 3,851 increase is reflective of current part-time rates. We do have some more things to explain with the staffing, but we'll do that once we get through all these. The next line is equipment, and we're taking out 5,000 because 12 portable radios were purchased last year, and those are funded by fund balance, so those don't need to be purchased again. The sidewalk, road, and curb maintenance line. So this line, we have a heavy equipment contract that gets bid out, and that contract expires 5/31/26 also. So we have a 20% increase included on this line. That could be too high, it could be too low. You really don't know.
Honestly, it's going around talking to multiple contractors, what they feel their increases are gonna be. We're not doing anything wrong here, but it is kind of new prevailing wage, the PRC numbers. We're trying to just budget correctly for that, because there is some risk for the contractor if they have to work overtime or if they have to work on a holiday. So they're taking on some risk, so we have to take on some risk. And the nice thing is, we hope that these bids are done prior to this approval possibly, so we may be able to lower that number.
So how are, the contract is based on a specific amount of curb work or paving work that gets done?
So originally, this number was there, let's see, I'll get to it. It's, I believe total is 2,009. Yes, is 265, we'll call it. 160 that every year we put towards paving. And we get money from New York State as well, and that adds in. And so we'll write a
So that's
PO
an amount that we put towards paving.
every year. Annually, we put towards paving from that budget. Whatever's not used for paving, we can come back and then use that for maintenance. Sidewalks, potholes, a storm repair, XYZ.
And that's not for is that a specific square foot of paving? or-
No, every year it changes depending on our paving plan. We have a 5-year paving plan that Hans Engineer works up for us. this, we'll talk about, we have some appropriations coming back from last year we didn't use. We have an 18-month cycle to use it. Reason why we didn't use it all last year is because we have some wide roads to do this year. Those wide roads increase and we have some curves we might have to do. So that's why we did some smaller roads last year in remote areas to take care of the wider roads forthcoming.
So I guess that's goes to my ultimate question is, are we paving much more than we did in the past? And are we expecting to pave with those kinds of increases going forward?
It's not just, so this really isn't, I didn't set this number for paving. This was previous administration. It's been working. And that's why, I mean, it's been working. And depending on the roads, and paving, of course, has increased over time as well. But the roads we're doing this year, what we think we're doing this year is gonna come close to the max, plus our chips.
And do we expect this 20% level of increase to occur next year?
No, it's two different budget lines. So your paving line is our Irvington paving contract that we bid out separately. The annual maintenance contract is our equipment contract, which is a 2-year it's a 1-year contract with another 1 year added to it normally. We have an opportunity to make it a 2-year, same as the contractor.
Okay.
So no, we don't expect a 20% increase next year. We know that remains flat. The honesty of it is the new Department of Labor standards and the new prevailing wage and providing payroll. And if you work overtime on a holiday, some operators get 4 times their pay. So there's some risk in there if we need them to work on those holidays. And they understand that now because the Department of Labor has reached out to them, not us. So they are aware of the new rules and regulations. So honestly, the 20%, it was just a conversation with multiple contractors out there. And that's the number that I thought would be fair. And I'm hoping I'm a little high and we can bring that down.
And if there was less money available, what does that mean for what we're doing?
Less work.
Less paving. And
It's not paving.
it's not
I wouldn't say paving, it'd be less catch basin repair, less sidewalk repair, less storm drain work.
Okay. And Han has a schedule.
Our paving plan, we have a paving plan. I'm meeting with Han probably in the next couple of weeks to go over that again. We update it yearly.
Thank you.
Okay, so next we have maintenance of vehicles. We're increasing that line by 3,000, and that's based on looking at an average of the actual costs incurred over the past 2 years.
And these are just the vehicles.
These are only highway vehicles. So you have your highway vehicles, you have your snow vehicles, and you have your sanitation vehicles. Our highway vehicles, we have a couple of trucks that are aging and it causes some problems. And you guys know our facility, so we really can't get under them and work on them. So we have to send them out. And that's where that comes in. And this was just a 2-year average. So we thought it was wise. We've been going over budget and it's wise to try to get the budget in line.
I always question round numbers.
It was
When I see 3 zeros.
simple average.
We'll have to keep that in mind now.
Where did this come out of? What area?
No zeros.
99.
2099.
So the streetlight utility line, we discussed that already. Then we'll move on to refuse and collection. The personnel services line, the 8,614 is reflective of current CSEA salaries and any contractual step increases. The part-time labor line, the 1,809 is reflective of current rates. The supplies line, we're decreasing by 4,700 because in the current year budget, litter baskets were replaced. That doesn't need to be done again next year. And on the maintenance of vehicles line, for refuse and collection. We're also increasing that by 7,000 for maintenance of vehicles, based on the average of actual costs over the past 2 years.
That's the same logic with the.
That sanitation vehicles, the issue with the sanitation vehicles, our sanitation, they have more DEF in them. And the DEF is a major issue and it's causing a lot of problems and we are not equipped to work on it. And it's expensive.
What's the,
Diesel exhaust fluid. So most of the all diesel trucks now have, it's a DEF system. It burns at a high rate. So the particles that go in the air are less. It's better for the environment. It causes a lot of issues, a lot of breakdowns. And those trucks, if you don't get them to the dealer quick enough, you're towing them there. So they shut down completely. So we have to stay on top of it. And the systems still aren't there yet. They're getting there. They're getting better. Believe me, the sweeper's a lot better. The sweeper we purchased, a lot better system. But our trucks are older. They're 13, 14 years older. So they're having some issues. They're the original systems.
For those kinds of trucks, what's sort of the normal replacement schedule?
Well, we're changing that. It's 8 to 10 years. We have it at 15 right now. We do a very good job. They used to be around 25. We used to hold for 25. Now we're I think honestly we're trying to get it to 10. Right now we're 15. We're making do, but I think in the future 10 will be appropriate. Standard is 8 to 10 years.
I love the way you're maintaining these. I mean, they are the best looking garbage trucks that go up and down the street compared to all of the other collections from the commercial stuff that goes down to Bridge Street, et cetera. When I look at our trucks, it's like, wow. When I look at those other
They're
trucks.
lovely, Todd.
So they look
Thank you for the
great.
pretty trucks.
Yes. And to tell you the truth, the $7,000 is not so bad considering their age and considering the replacement cost.
Today's the operating budget. We'll talk.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
Yeah, we'll talk to the
that's coming.
But no, honestly, it's a simple average, and like I said, it's expensive. Mechanics are expensive, hourly mechanics for these big diesel trucks, and parts are expensive.
Okay.
So the recycling collection departments, on that personnel services line, there's a $3,530 increase, which is reflective of current salaries. And the recycling part-time line, there's a 753 increase, which is reflective of the current rates. The shade trees department, there's a $6,100 increase there. So also our tree trimming and removal contract expires May 31st. Lots of expirations this
Yeah.
year.
I've got a stack of bid documents or something.
Yeah. I feel like he keeps saying that.
Yeah. So the 6,100 reflects potential increases for the tree trimming, removals, and installation of tree wells as a result of the expiring contract.
Like I said, I do believe, I'm hopeful that it's not. I really am. It just.
And I think it's safe.
I'm
That's a
trying
safe
to-
bet.
And we have time with starting so early, we have time to modify.
Well,
I
it feels like
definitely have,
everything's
uh,
expensive, more expensive.
Question on the tree wells.
Sure.
And where that's coming in, but that's further back to.
I mean, might as well ask now while we're on it.
Where is that one?
Probably that last page.
So what I'm seeing on this page 12 of 12 is that we've got 4 tree grates, cost $6,000. And
4 tree grates actually cost 17,100.
17,100.
Shipped.
And then we're paying 29,000 to install them. So that's each tree grate and well is costing us $11,500.
And that, some of that money was taken out of the 2 budgets ago, we took that money out of the 2009 maintenance line. So you guys could see how much it was to actually do a tree well.
So a tree well is costing us, without the tree, almost $12,000.
More than that, because 9 out of 10 times we're gonna redo the whole sidewalk on Main Street that's there, because the sidewalks are lifted and the sidewalks have problems, so that's just if we took the tree out, made a pit, put it back in, you know, and it was stable. 9 out of 10 times, we'll fix the we'll repair the sidewalk
I've
around it.
noticed.
And honestly, I don't think it's fair to take from that budget, so that's when I take from the maintenance line budget, 209 budget. You know, you try to mix and match and separate the jobs.
The idea with the tree walls is that I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it makes it easier to maintain the trees and so that the sidewalk does not get disturbed by the roots as the trees are growing, right? That's the point of the wells.
Well, initially, I think we're doing a really good job of planting the right trees now,
Yes.
right? We're purchasing the proper trees. There's a lot of communication. There's a lot of discussion. I believe we're planting the right trees. I think we're installing the tree wells as best as we can. They're very secure. Sidewalks are sidewalks.
Sure, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is it seems better than the system where let's just cut a square in the pavement, put the tree in and one for
Well,
less.
it's a liability to a nightmare for that. If somebody trips in that, we have a tree well, you know, it shouldn't, I wouldn't walk on a tree well.
Right.
We're not inviting anybody to walk on a tree well, but it's safer than a hole in the ground, you know, or at least a cutout. You know, there are, you know, we've talked with work, there are options. You've seen us put in a couple of tree guards to protect trees. That's really up to the tree commission, the board. If we want to go that route from moving forward, that's something we can discuss. That's a little bit cheaper option.
These grates, they are expensive.
The problem with the grates is there's only one supplier. It's in Ohio. Shipping is about 3,000, 4,000, that's 17,000. And there's nothing we could do about
What's the
that.
lifespan of the great stuff?
It's a great question.
Great question.
You know, they're cast iron. They're gonna last, you know.
Specifically, the grate in front of the
Right.
rec department.
We did
is now
that.
Broken in two
We
places.
did that.
Okay.
We did that by clearing a sidewalk. That's the one of the problems is if you catch the middle, where there's not enough support, that crack. It was 100% us. We're waiting. We have some snow melt that still has to happen so we can get to the grates that we have in stock.
Currently, it's
to
a
repair that.
one-time cost for the next, I don't know, 10, 20 years.
Well, that was my next question. Why isn't this in the capital budget? Why are we putting $46,000 in an operating budget for something that's
I-
presumably lasting
I could be
20
wrong.
years?
I could be wrong. I think initially it was in the capital budget when they first had their master plan and they came into this and they did multiples. And now it's just, hey, we're gonna do 4 a year, let's budget for it. If you'd like to change it, you know, change it, but that's the reasoning for it.
I think if it's for being done every year, it's kind
It's
of like an
operating, it's an
ongoing
operating
cost of operation.
Certainly not one time.
Yeah.
So we've replaced quite a few. So how many more of these do we
I did
anticipate?
not bring that sheet with me today.
Roughly.
I think we had 70 on Main Street. We're whatever number we have on Main Street, we're half. We have completed half of them
So we can expect this
for a few more, for a number of years.
$46,000 plus the trees, $50,000 a year on trees
Yeah, roughly.
going forward.
And that's without any maintenance to them, you know, I mean, some maintenance may occur as well, you know, to the older
Right, well,
grades.
when I
We've
first.
taken some out, we've repaired them. What we find is, some of the bolts fail, and then we just take them out, we redo the grade. It seems, it's a days of work, you know, so it's for a couple of thousand, say a couple $1,000, but that's the shame of it. That's a day of work, and it's repaired.
$10,000 grade, that's fine. When I first saw the one in front of the rec department, I assumed it was somebody drove the car up on the sidewalk.
But the car,
It was snow.
that's one of the problems. If the cars do go over that, that's what will happen. But 100%, I don't want to blame anybody. That's on us.
Well, if that does happen, maybe we need something at the curb in front of the gate.
What we're trying to do when we do these tree grades, we are raising the curbs were never raised. When Main Street gets paved and repaved by Con Edison, it's not, they repave to what it was. So if there's only an inch reveal, they're gonna go back to an inch reveal. You know, we would love a 6-inch reveal everywhere. You're not gonna go.
Particularly with the angled parking.
Exactly. And that's something, when we do have the opportunity to repair a grade or fix a grade, we try to lift those curbstones up, because they are separate. But then there comes a point, how far do you go? You chase it all you want, so you have to come up with
You
a
don't want people
plan.
tripping over those. But I really love the idea of the grates when you're walking down the street.
Mhm.
You don't trip over it,
Sure.
as you would if you put the nice little fence around it, which would be cheaper. But if you combine the nice little fence with the tables in front of the restaurant, then you end up with this 3-foot passageway. And there are a couple of those spots.
The tree, we'll call them tree guards. We devised that together to save older trees, so let the younger trees grow. We cut the sidewalks out, put those grates in, it's safe until we get enough canopy to remove those older trees. That's the goal.
Okay, thank you. I like to understand there.
And I just wanted to, I did make, 2 changes, just to kind of break out the New York State like grant funding piece. So we actually received, this year's CHIPS funding, the extreme weather recovery, the paved money, and the, pave our pothole funds today, from New York State. So on, it's page 4 of 12, but if that's the version that was originally
This is
attached,
what
you
you
may not
emailed
have the
me.
update. Yes,
This is what you emailed.
but go to, oh, 4 of 12.
Oh, I see. I didn't see it. Sorry.
Okay, so in line, 1.5010408 on the bottom. The New York, so the state's executive budget has, funding for CHIPS, POP, EWR, and PAVE, at the same levels, unless they get increased, but I don't think, they're not gonna decrease. So that we have, broken out. So the CHIPS apportionment that we're anticipating is 146,917, and then, as Todd mentioned before, we have a rollover of funds that we didn't use this year that we can use last year, so that's 24,389.
That's cut off there.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Oh, there you are. Okay.
And then if we hop over to page 6 of
Oh,
12.
Give me the line item that you're working with.
5100406.
So roughly, we get about $222,000 from the state every year. 225, let's call it 225, even numbers. Last year we utilized, let's say, I believe it was close to 185. Well, now we had about 39,000 left. And the reasoning for it was we did smaller streets, Palliser, stay in a room areas. We did the River Road to the water tank. We did Hermitage Road to that water tank. So we had some money left over. So this year, some of the roads that we're doing, I really don't want to say the roads, they're wider roads, with some curb work possibly. So that's one of the reasons why we chose those roads last year, because we knew what was coming. We also have the drainage project at Ardsley Park. Sooner or later, Ardsley Avenue East is gonna have to get done. And sooner or later, around the tennis courts, those roads are very wide, and we have the parking lot as well. So that's what we're gearing up.
You can go to page 6 of 12.
Which line item?
That would be line 1.5010474. Okay, so then these are, the first 3 lines are the 26-27 apportionments from the state budget. And then lines 4 through 6 are rollover funds that we have from this year. In the past, we haven't really broken it out, and we kind of adjusted the line like when the time came, but we figured let's get it all in the budget now. So
That's-
just wanted to point that
When I
out.
said 225,000, I lump everything together, because to me it's one number. She has a harder job than me.
David, if you're looking for this in the budget, this might not be in there. The
I,
agenda,
I updated this one today.
the agenda got
Very crazy.
sent out before.
Tell us your lines.
So tomorrow we're gonna update the agenda with these current packets and we'll republish it.
Well, the one question I had in this general area was 5010437, which is the stormwater management. It is the grant writer line
Yes.
and the line for Dolph.
So the grant writer line is Fiona's line. And Dolph is our stormwater consultant.
So my question is, I'm worried that that's not enough allocation because of the study that we need for Barney Brook between Broadway and the river.
I think that's a fairly accurate number based upon the work. I mean, we have the teams working on it now and Fiona's part of it, but she's not as actively involved in writing. She's mostly updates to the state.
I'll be honest with you, I defer to Charles. It's in the highway department budget, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But I have to defer
And
to
is the
Charles.
Dolph, you think that's correct?
We just
Yeah, looked
signed
at
that.
it and we checked it with Ed to make sure that it made sense with what he thought.
The total, for the Dolph contract is 11,500, but that covers, is it 5 years?
4 or 5 years.
4 or 5
Yes,
years.
It's a lengthy contract.
So it's not the 11,500 all in 1 year. The 11,500 quote we have covers
So how much
multiple years.
how much did it cost us to do Harriman and Downingwood?
In terms of
For Dolph.
Dolph has nothing,
They did.
that's our MS4, that's for our
No.
stormwater annual reports and annual reporting.
Oh,
They keep
okay.
us in compliance.
So that's not the engineering for the.
No.
No, that's usually Han Engineering.
And that's probably part of the capital project. That's probably in the capital
In the
project.
capital.
Yes.
Then fine.
All right, so then, I think the last item we have is the staffing changes.
Yes.
Do you wanna
I have, yeah.
explain that and then I can
100%.
explain the numbers?
Okay, so simply put, I've been doing the superintendent's position and the general foreman position. You know, there's certain things I know I can do, and I can get some things done now, that the general foreman doesn't have to do any longer. So I would request to remove, where's the overtime line? About 29,659 from our overtime line in the highway department. If we remove that, remove all our part-time
Which
labor,
line are you talking about? So I can pull it up. on-
50-10-101. Sorry, I'm going off this, Charlie.
Yeah, I think this
Yes, sorry.
probably explains it.
Oh,
the
okay,
best.
sorry.
So we're requesting to remove 29,659 from our overtime line. And then we would request to remove all our part-time laborers and make them full-time. It would be net zero to the village. We know what's coming forward. More is gonna be asked of our department. We're gonna need that extra labor. And in time, hopefully, we see some promotions in the next month or so, and it all equals out where we have promotions. We already have somebody in place, waiting for his, CDL test. So a laborer could move up to a driver could move up to a foreman position, another foreman could move up to a foreman position. And then one of the laborers, of course, we would go out and we would interview for our jobs, for our labor positions. But, you know, it's gonna be hard to find somebody with 4.5 years' experience with us. That's better than that gentleman that's here now. He's worked his tail off. And I'd love to see him get hired. And then the other position would be the same thing. In June, we'd ask for that. We'd post the job and may the best candidate get the job. You know, and we've been doing a good job of hiring. We've been hiring really good people. We have a young staff, like I said, but they work hard and they're doing their best every day to get everything I'm asking from them to get done.
I love this page with the two numbers that balance each other. My only question was,
Even either.
right, it's not an even number. Hey,
There is zero.
my only
I'll make it
question.
even for you, David.
Right. I was trying to add up the full-time person and the two, replacing two part-time laborers at 28 hours a week. So that's,
I might be able to better explain it to you. I don't like to get ahead of myself, but if everything works out that's supposed to work out, one of our part-time laborers could become full-time within the next month. So it's really, it's one, we're adding one.
I'm not talking about the number of people. I'm saying
The
that.
salary,
It just
No,
means
no, the hours.
The hours.
You're replacing 56 hours with 40 hours.
yes. But we're gonna ask our guys, I can take on, as the superintendent of public works, I can take on a lot more that was, I can spend more time doing that job. The general foreman can spend more time doing his appropriate job. The assistant general foreman can do his appropriate job. Right now, we're not doing that. We are not efficient. We're getting things done. And I think we're doing a really good job, but we're not doing it efficiently. We're gonna start doing it more efficiently. And in time, if we need more employees, I'll let you know, but I don't think we do it this time.
Music to our ears, efficiency.
So essentially, this is changing one of the part-time labor positions into full-time and then backfilling
All
the
the others.
vacancies.
Correct.
Sounds great. Love this page.
I think that's all we have for DPW unless there's more
The only question I
questions.
had was just to understand more the, it's like 00151820455. Now, this is what we talked about before, the streetlights and EV charging station.
Yes.
I think we're talking about a 5,000 increase, but is it? Oh, because it's from 85, but last year we only spent 54,000. I was looking at like 2025 actual to 2026 requested, and it's like 54 to 90.
It's page 8 of 12.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm just trying to tell you.
Oh,
8 of 12, Charles.
Yeah, I was looking at that same thing, and I went back to 223 actual was 28,000. And now we're up to 43, so that's 15,000 more from 23. Is that all to do with?
I think it's because we added the EV chargers
That's,
to that building.
Okay, so I don't want to talk out of school.
Wait, are we on 5010455?
yes,
yes.
yeah.
Well, we also converted to heat pumps at the superintendent's office. You know, then we added two chargers at the DPW. So that's there. That would be that. But there should be some offset because our fuel should be less because we removed that from the sanitation garage. And we removed two radiant heaters from the highway garage. So there should be some offsetting.
Oh, okay, so the reason the actual looks low is one of the meters is attached to either the sewer or water. So throughout the year, it hits that budget. And then at the end of the year, we have to do like an entry to allocate it to this line. So at year ends, like you see last year, the total utilities for that line were 41,109. And year to date, it's only 16,329. But that's because at the end of the year, we have to move a piece that's getting charged to the water sewer meter into this line.
It's the highway. Office is pump
That's
station.
why.
I'm not sure I still understand. Wait, so did we spend $54,000 last year, or we spent more, but it's not reflected?
So last year we spent 41,109. Are we looking at the same line?
Maybe not. The 00151820455.
Okay, no, we're not. looking at the same
Yeah,
line.
0.0455.
055. Yes, the streetlight line.
Yes, yes.
An EV charging station. So that line in this budget, we're requesting to increase by 5,000. And last year we spent 84,245. So this line has nothing to do with the pump station.
Oh, I guess I'm like, it says 54,583. Is that number wrong on this?
That's the year to date.
Oh.
Yes,
oh,
yeah.
oh,
So it
oh,
doesn't
oh.
represent a full year
Got it.
yet.
The full
Thanks,
year, the
yeah.
last full year is the 84.
Correct.
84,245.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
No,
I have one more question about the fuel tanks. Somewhere in here. Yes, petroleum,
It's 144437, correct?
yeah, 0437.
Yes. So that is, so 437 is professional fee. So we used to pay a monthly fee to have inspections done monthly. Myself, another foreman, two other maintenance equipment operators got trained and passed the New York State Department of Health training. So we can do that ourselves. So we save the village some money there. So now we just do 2 annual inspections at $1,500 instead of a monthly inspection at $400. But we're gonna steep that money in the budget because our pumps are old. We have one new diesel pump that's approximately 3 to 4 years old. The other pumps are over 15 years old. The dispensers, sooner or later, they're gonna have to be repaired. And there is some,
So we have, how many of these tanks?
Which line are you
Yes.
speaking about, David?
we have,
0437.
yes, we have,
1440.
we have 1 diesel tank and 2 gas tanks. And we have 3 underground tanks, then we have some above ground tanks as well that need to be certified and tested and inspected.
Did I hear rumor that there was something about getting gas at the gas station and eliminating tanks?
Okay, that was 3 years ago, and I did it all. I got it all figured out. There's a government contract, there's a state contract. It's a process. Everybody has cards, everybody has a fob, you get some rebates. It's in emergency situations and you need fuel, where are you gonna go? If that gas station isn't working correctly, or Exxon or Mobil, we have some issues. I mean, everybody wants to get rid of underground tanks, as well as I do, because it's one less thing I have to worry about. But there are above ground tank options as well. Most municipalities now that are being built are above ground. That way you're not dealing with all these, they're visual inspections. They take less than 5 minutes to do instead of these multi-point inspections that we get biannually.
So our 4 tanks that we have now are
3 tanks,
3 tanks underground.
3 tanks underground.
And that's what we're inspecting and
Maintaining, inspecting, and you're gonna hear some more about another, more. There's some stuff going, there's some stuff around the village about tanks, we're doing the firehouse now, we're dealing with that. It's something we wanna get out of, that business, but how do you do it?
give you a new DPW garage.
That's one way to do it.
They'll all be above ground.
David will personally keep.
Yeah, yeah, but
Writing the check.
honestly, overall, we look pretty good. There's some minor repairs you have to do. There's some testing we're gonna do in June to get us in compliance. But we're in compliance now, don't get me wrong. We're gonna do the testing in June when the new budget comes. So we're gonna do whatever repairs you have to do prior to June. The budget hits in June, we'll do all our testing, and we expect it to come back with.
Any other questions?
That's it. Great,
Thank
thank
you so
you.
much.
Take care.
Water.
Yeah, water.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hey, Jim.
thanks for waiting.
So that's small.
I can.
I'll look at the paper instead. So the water and sewer funds are different than all the other budget workshops that we've had, because these are totally separate from the general fund and the tax cap levy. The goal of these funds are to break even each year, and it's funded by the rates that the consumers of the water pay. And then you'll also see in these funds, like salaries, health insurance, debt service payments, retirement, social security, and debt service all also get recorded here. So, yeah, even like the presentation here, we did a little bit different than the other funds. So I think it makes sense to look at the expenses first, and then we'll kind of back into the revenues to have a break-even budget. So most of these things we've discussed previously budget workshops. So the first line here, general liability insurance, we're increasing to 38,000, and that's based on the 7% increase that we're anticipating in our insurance policy. We removed MTA payroll tax because we don't have to pay that anymore. The longevity line is increasing from 11,350 to 12,500, and that's a result of the employees being employed with the village for a longer amount of time. The contingency line, we're increasing by 10,000. We found in the past that we've had to use most of these funds, so increasing it even by 10,000 to give us room for any unexpected water main breaks or any like unexpected increases in rates from Greenberg or New York City. That would be helpful to have a cushion there. The next line is the personnel services line, and this is actually an allocation of the administrative staff, so that's my office. So that's an increase of 5,045, which is reflective of current salaries. Supply line, we're keeping the same. Professional fees line, there's a decrease of $5,763, and that's because we removed 6,020 from a prior year budget because we replaced the meter reading software, and that was like the conversion implementation fee, which was a one-time fee. This utilities line we can keep the same. The New York City excess charges line. So this is excess fees that we get charged by New York City when we go over a certain consumption amount. So in July of 2025, these fees increased by 7%. We don't know what this year's increase is going to be. We put a 5% increase in there, which we think is a reasonable number. Past they've increased by like 12%, so really not sure at this point. But based on the consumption numbers that we're using, we can decrease that line by 16,000 from the prior year budget. The Rumbrook pump station line. So this one's tough. So we purchase water from town of Greenberg, and they bill us monthly for consumption, but then at the end of the calendar year, they provide us with a true-up invoice, which also is based off of like a portion of their expenses to run the pump station. So it's their salaries, any water that they purchased, any of their debt service costs, source chemicals. So we're still, and that one's like usually a bit of a surprise, which we're trying to kind of get them to give us more up-to-date information on that. So we're still waiting on the 2025 calendar year bill, which they keep promising to get to
I
us.
got something that was posed, but it's 228,000. Last year, what was it, 400?
It was over 400.
It's over 400,000. So
last year.
How do you budget for that? If it just sort of like you have no idea?
It's hard. I mean, we could look at what we see as our consumption numbers and kind of what their overhead was the year before. But like if they make, major changes that they don't communicate to us, we wouldn't really know until we get this bill.
I think it was about 2 years ago, we got that $500,000 capital improvement, which they're like they did these improvements and then they never told anybody, and then all of a sudden they hit us with this $500,000 bill. So communications not the best with them.
So do we need to complain to Mr. Finer or whoever we complain to about that? Because that's interesting. Now, how does that affect the sewer rate that we're charging, which is the water rate?
It doesn't really, the sewer rates are based off the water usage.
Yeah.
So usually the sewer fund has been underfunded. Like this year, we're gonna ask for, asking for $10,000 more in the professional line. Traditionally, the sewer department's underfunded as far as professional fees and whatnot. So that's gonna go up a little bit. But whatever you use in water is what you get charged in sewer. So take, for example, like we're gonna propose a 4% increase this year, right? So if it was your sewer, it would be 72 cents, and then the waters would be $9.66. So for every unit of water, which is 400 or 748 gallons, you get charged for 748 gallons of sewage.
But if we all of a sudden get a $500,000 bill, how do we increase that?
It would
water
affect,
rates to-
it would affect the water fund, it wouldn't affect the sewer funds. So the sewer revenues are based off of usage,
Right.
but the sewer expenses,
Are
have
they-
nothing
are
to
they-
do with the purchase of water from
From
Greenberg.
That's true, but nonetheless, in terms of if we're running a break-even department here, our only way of increasing the funds that we receive to cover that is by increasing the water rate.
The water,
Am I correct?
water fund is separate from sewer fund, so they're two separate funds.
So the bill that we're talking about gets, sort of has to get worked out in the water side.
Yes,
It's only on the water side
Right.
because of the
That's-
Rumbrook Pump Station, which we're partners with Greenberg.
Yeah.
So our portion is depending on how much water they use out of the station compared to us. So it could be, our portion could be 40% and their portion 60%.
Okay, well, I get all that. The
Right.
question is how we're passing that on to the user,
Consumer.
the consumer. And right now, we have a 4% planned increase. So if that becomes 50,000, 500,000 rather than 200,000, then we would need more than a 4% increase. Am I correct?
correct.
Correct.
Okay. Uh,
That would happen subsequently.
And we
Because you're
can't
not
do
gonna know
that.
it.
We're not gonna know. till
You're
we get
doing
the
this
bill.
always kind of in arrears.
Right.
Well, we're June 1st, they're January 1st, and then cities are October 1st. So we're both kind of working on 6 months worth of data.
Mm.
So it's not like our budgets are in sync. So even like the increase from New York City, you set the budget in June, they raise it in July. That's not accounted for the 7%. So this year, I think it's gonna probably be around 5%. I spoke to Bill Richardson and he said it's gonna be lower than it was the years before. So we're hoping for like a 5% increase in the New York City rate passed along to the village.
Just as a little gauge here, how is the water rate in Irvington and sewer rate compared to wherever? Scarsdale?
They're moderate. We're not on the high end, we're not on the low end.
We're in the middle. So our consumer isn't gonna freak out if they get a water bill that's been increased because we've had this charge.
I mean, if you get a high water bill, they always freak out. It's not, nobody likes,
Well, individually.
the best saying I've
as
ever heard
opposed
is
to
why are we paying for
collectively.
water when water's free?
Right.
So, I mean, there's treatment, there's pipes, there's, water main breaks, there's, and like Todd was saying, the price of doing business is going up, especially with this new PCR number and prevailing rate and,
And water is not free.
water's not free. We're doing a lot more
Because
testing.
we obviously pay for the water.
Right.
Because I've had this conversation with people
Yeah.
as well, like, right? We have to pay for it.
Plus, there's more testing now. There's PFAS. We have this lead and copper service line inventory, which I'm doing, which is gonna, it's gonna cost money to finish more testing.
And we currently charge people more who use more water on a per gallon basis
It's a per unit basis, so we charge, like, most places charge in thousands of gallons. We charge in units, one unit's 748 gallons. So once you go above 100 units, then it goes to 2.5 times the rate. So like, let's just say, for instance, if you're paying $9.28 and then you go over 100, now you're paying $23.29.
So
So round
roughly how
numbers
many
from
people
$10,
are we talking about paying the higher rate?
pretty much all Legend Hollow, people that have irrigation. I mean, most of it's irrigation.
So if
Like,
you-
let's just take Legend Hollow, for instance. Like, on an average week, we'll use probably like 90,000 gallons for the week. Then summertime comes, 350,000 gallons a week. So, and then you have the golf course, which uses a lot of water.
And you set that premium rate based on what kind of calculation that it was whatever percentage above the regular rate it is. How did you decide that?
Because New York City charges us 2.5 times the rate of, once we go over 24, it's about 24.5 million, then we get charged an excess rate from New York City. And that's it, 2.5 times the normal rate. So we set it, our rate 2.5 times of that to cover it.
Do we pass on that excess rate to consumers?
Yes,
All consumers
not
including?
all consumers, only consumers that go over the 100 unit rate. So it's kind of like it's kind of,
What about the golf courses?
the golf course, no, that I know of. That's gonna have to be, should have a conversation about that.
They don't pay the excess rate?
No.
Why don't they pay the excess rate?
That's a very,
That's what we've been asking.
this is a very good question. I've asked the question.
That's a
and
nationwide
I can't
issue.
find it in any agreement that we have
What
with
was it?
them. I don't know if it was, like a back in the day, a handshake and a handshake agreement or what, but I cannot find a written agreement. In fact, they just had to replace their meter on the 18th hole and we did an average and they thought it was higher. So I said, okay, I'll go back 15 years. Back 15 years, the average was actually higher. So I said, do you want to pay this rate or do you want to pay this? So they chose the lower estimate of the two. But
I think they're the highest
and
consumer of
they're
water
one of the
out
highest
of
consumer of
anybody.
water out of anybody.
Hold on.
Make a note of
Hold on a
that.
second. All right. Hold on. So they don't get charged for the rate, the higher rate.
The excess rate, yes.
Excess rate, but we pay the excess rate.
Yes.
That's unacceptable. We pay for the golf
It is.
course. That's unacceptable.
We're subsidizing golf courses. Wow, country clubs.
What?
We're basically
We're
subsidizing country
subsidizing,
clubs.
This
We're
isn't,
subsidizing the Ardsley Country Club.
okay, I did not know that this was their case. Because I think you and I, when I first became a trustee, I think I spent 5 hours talking to you about the water department. So every question you ask, I'm a little irritated only because I spent 5 hours with him. So I want to send you to spend 5 hours with Jim so you can learn all about the
actually, I would
water.
love it.
But what I didn't learn was that they don't pay. So,
I just found this out 2 years ago.
okay.
And
So
I
when
was-
we
I
met
was-
4 years ago, you didn't know. Okay, I
Because-
feel better.
I was speaking to somebody about it and it was always just kind of brushed off, per se. So I didn't figure I'd bring it up here. I figured maybe we'd go into executive session and talk about it and try and figure it out.
Okay, so we're going to schedule something because that to
Yes.
me is wildly
It is wildly unacceptable
It
to
made me
me
close my
because it
computer
also,
and
this
pay
budget, we're subsidizing, somebody else.
It is
Anybody else that falls
wildly,
into this
sorry.
category of?
No.
is a
That
big
is
user?
wildly unacceptable.
They're like the biggest users.
We have that Richmond Hill
Yes.
problem, right?
Yeah, we
And-
can't-
And it's all irrigation.
Yeah.
And for me to lower the bill from 20,000 to give them the thing, it would be $12,000. Well, $12,000 out of this budget equals an increase. So basically you're having 6,400 or 6,631 residents subsidize
Yeah,
their sprinkler use.
yeah, I mean, it's an unfortunate incident, but it really, you can't shift the payment onto other people, but I'm really stuck on this arts club issue.
I mean, there is a thing where we do one time.
Right, of course, yeah.
Like a resident, let's say they had a broken pipe and they got a $10,000 bill. They get a one-time, lowered down to normal rate. It gets noted in their bill or in their file. So if they ever come back, I always say to them, this is a one-time deal. So is this what you want to do? Because if it happens again, you're going to pay full price. So I think we had another resident that we offered them the deal. They didn't want it. They came to you guys and you guys were like, no, now you got to pay the whole bill. So
So I think that it is wildly unfair. I mean, in the same vein, if we, the village, are paying this and the usage is by a specific determinable person, legal person, right?
Yes.
I think it is wildly unfair to the rest of the residents that we are paying for that.
I
That is
100% agree with you.
wildly unfair, and I am really shocked.
Right.
Okay, okay,
Cause even the school pays an excess rate
Right.
when they go over.
right, okay.
Yeah, that's just fascinating.
So if you have,
Wow.
so if you have a
School pays for
multifamily
that.
building, they actually get, let's say there's 3 units in there. So each unit gets 100 units, and then when they go into excess, that makes sense.
I mean,
This makes no sense to me.
and you obviously didn't know this when we had our 4 or 5 hour conversation,
If you
because
don't
I
know
think you would
this.
have brought that
Jesus,
up.
if you don't
I
know
thought I
this.
knew everything about water and sewer.
I pretty much
I
do.
guess you need to spend another 5 hours.
I think it's about time for the 5 hour, I mean, I thought
Okay,
5
so
hours, the
don't,
first time
don't
was
knock me for
too
asking these
much
questions.
exposure for you, that was a lot, like, I didn't put anybody else through that, but wow, okay.
I
Okay,
mean, and that's a lot of money. That could be not a rate increase.
Right,
yes,
yeah.
We like that.
okay, so.
But also,
Yeah,
So who's in charge of talking to them?
we're getting a new meter. So we have this pay meter. It's on the trail, the Sawmill River Bike Trail, on the Sawmill River Highway. We have a pit down there and there's a meter in there. We've been having problems with that meter. So I'm having DEP is giving me a new meter and we're replacing it. So at one point, they thought the meter was 15% slow. In Greenberg's favor, I did a bunch of work. Now it's 7.5 or 7.25% in our favor. But I'm like, I don't really trust it. So I put together a package and presented to the DEP, and they're purchasing a brand new meter for us to put in there. So now I'll be more confident that our meter's accurate. Because they just came and took out a meter that was in there and replaced it with another meter, which I don't think is the proper meter. So we're getting a new meter. So going forward, I think the budget's gonna be a little different too.
well, I think from an equity perspective, this is crazy,
Yes.
but we need to really address this. It's
Yes.
very unfair from a usage perspective that the rest of the village is subsidizing.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that is a top priority.
Katie and I were speaking about it today, and we spoke about it last year, and kind of both got the same answers. So, new board, new people, new mayor, times. Let's move forward.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm like in
let's-
shock
let's
right
move
now.
I don't think, I don't.
So
I
I'm
was
gonna have to
just
get
as
over
much
my
as in
shock,
shock as
but
you
that
were.
we have, yeah, I mean, that's shock, it really is very unfair that, again, because it's like recreational use, not, like, we're not funding a hospital.
And that could push us into excess.
Yeah.
Which we have to pay, so.
We've been trying to find like an agreement to see where this stemmed from, like maybe if there was like a, 20+ year agreement with the Ardsley Country Club. and
So
we
you're
can't find
suggesting, Jim,
anything.
that their usage alone bumped the whole village up to that excess
Yes.
2.5%?
I mean, during the summertime, we're gonna go into excess no matter what. June,
Yeah.
July, August, September.
But still, if it's on the
October,
borderline and it's when it happens.
It's on the borderline, right?
That affects even those people that are paying the 2.5 times.
So let's say in October, if they're watering the grass, in October, because it's warm, that could push us over into excess in October.
All right, so
So
this
even
is.
This
more-
is something that has to be worked on.
I think this is like an immediate.
Right.
This has to be remedied immediately. This is very unfair
Yes.
to residents.
Then we could potentially decrease
That 4%.
the 4%, and then it would be covered
Yeah.
by charging an excess rate to
Yeah.
Ardsley Country Club.
No, I mean, I
Sounds
think,
great.
I think that they have benefited this for
Forever.
from forever,
Mhm.
and I think it is unacceptable. It's really unacceptable.
It's gonna be the 2 bills, the summer, spreading
Yeah.
the summer bill, because the
And
winter
I-
bill, they have really no usage.
And I don't understand if everyone pays this excess rate, including the school, there really is zero argument for having this exception.
Absolutely.
So,
I really want to know how this happened. But
I mean,
it doesn't.
I'm obviously, I'm in shock.
I think you've got all of our support here.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I
you
think
know-
it's,
you know
I
it's
think it's
funny
very,
here.
so, okay, so we, really, this is almost tabled because that could be very, is affected by remedying this. in
Right,
the
yeah.
Very immediate.
Yeah, so maybe if we wanted to reduce the increase to just like 1 or 2%, and then
We should run the numbers though
Yeah.
and see what the numbers are gonna be before we make that
we
decision.
have to come up with
So, like,
what the
maybe
rate
tomorrow
is
we'll
That's
going
why I
to
said to
be.
table, I mean, we understand the situation and we know that this will have to be reevaluated, so. Should probably move on so I could get over my.
I'm watching you process
We
it.
my processing of
Emotionally,
it
like you
is like,
understand it.
Okay. let's move on, because it's a lot, it's a lot for
It is a
Wednesday
lot.
evening. Yeah, that's a bit shocking.
Yeah.
Well, it was always a question for myself, like, okay, they're the 18th hole, and then when it really came to light was 2 years ago, and then this last year when they were arguing their bill, I'm like, well, wait a minute, you're not paying an excess bill,
You're right, your bill isn't correct.
right? So actually, you owe a lot more
Yeah.
money.
Yeah,
We back, Georgia.
okay, we have to move on from that.
I wish.
Have a territory hearing
Wanna
about
go
that.
over there tonight?
I know. I'm gonna go shut the water down tonight. No, I'm kidding.
Just let me call the health department first, Lisa.
Yes.
I'd like to keep my license
Yes,
for
I-
4 years.
I understand. No, I mean, just on a serious
Just one more time.
All kidding aside, I think really from a fairness perspective, like I think if ever, it's a pretty easy formula, like you have a certain allotment of water, you go over that, you pay, the excess rate, we all pay it. I'm sure I pay it because I have a pool. So I don't think it's okay for the Ardsley Country Club not to pay it when, again, the school pays it, right? Like, so to me, it's a pretty easy conversation.
Yeah.
And now I'm moving on.
No, for sure.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Okay. So. The only other major line in here is the professional fees line, which we're increasing by 10,000. And that's just for repairs of water main breaks, looking at past history of what we've expended on that line. That
And that's sufficient, $10,000?
Yeah,
Okay,
because we
okay.
raised it $10,000 a year before, so just
So define professional fees.
those guys contracting. So when they come and do excavation work and restoration work, comes out of the professional fees line,
So that's outside contracting.
outside contract.
Somehow when I see that word professional fees, I'm thinking it's administrative, legal.
Well, those are professional fees, but this is another one.
Right, okay. Okay, great.
Can we talk about
Labor, we had that labor line, 2,000 we wanted to
Oh,
take
yeah,
off.
so I had decreased that based on what we've been spending in the past. Then Jim said that's not enough, so.
So usually I hire a part-timer to paint fire hydrants, help us weed whack, cut grass during the summertime to,
So,
'cause
1, 2, 3.
my guys go on vacation
Yeah.
and the grass needs to be cut and fire hydrants need to be maintained, so that's what we usually use. They're usually here for 12 weeks. The new minimum wage is $17 an hour, so that's $8,160 for if I hired them at 17. At 18, it's $8,640. At 19, it's $9,120. And I don't anticipate 20. Usually I get them for about 17, 18 because I get a sophomore or sophomore or freshman in college. They'll come and work and then they'll get an internship, senior, junior year. And if you know anybody that's 18 or above that needs a summer job, I'm looking for somebody. So, taking applications.
On
Do you
that
wanna
subject,
Want us to put it on the website?
Yes,
Can you send me the job spec?
absolutely.
And fire hydrants, who's in charge of getting the snow off of them?
The residents. If there's a fire hydrant in front of your house, you're supposed to go outside and shovel a
I was gonna
3-foot
say,
path.
you better go shovel
around
that.
it.
I don't have the problem.
We're gonna go
Main
check.
Street does.
Oh, I was like, we're gonna go check
There's-
after
there's
this.
businesses
We're walking
on Main
down to
Street
South
that-
Taunton.
The
Not
fire
shovel.
department posts about it every snowstorm. You're supposed to clear 3 feet
Right, yeah.
around.
But I noticed on Main
I
Street.
mean, something, like, we went down Broadway, my guys,
Right.
and we shoveled out the hydrants on Broadway. I have to say, though, Columbia does a good job, because they do their sidewalk and they do around the hydrants.
They do.
But with the 2 feet of snow, and then it froze,
Yeah.
you know, it takes a while to dig them out. But most residents don't know that if there's a fire hydrant in front of your house, from the center nut, 3-foot diameter is supposed to be dug out. So,
Well, obviously, they don't know that on Main Street, or at least some of the.
right. I mean, I have to say the bump outs caused a little bit of,
Exactly.
it piles up and the hydrant's in the middle and you gotta dig it out. So when they were doing the street cleaning, the guys were digging out the hydrants.
Okay.
So for this line, are we saying that this won't be 2,000 increase? It'll be the same? Is that the?
Well, that's a 2,000 decrease.
Right.
Um, I want to keep it at 9,000 at least for this year, and I might need another 1,000 going forward. Because the rate of
Wage
the
changes.
minimum wage went up to 17 this year, so. I used to have 2 summer helpers, but now I'm down to 1. So,
That sounds reasonable.
So you want to increase it to 10?
We're just gonna keep it the same,
Keep it the same.
at 9.
keep it the same.
I think that's all of the main items on the cover sheet, and then we'll have to revisit the rate
Yes.
increase.
Okay. Thank you.
Want to go to sewer?
Yes. The sewer fund is much less complicated than the water. So the only, other than like the fringe benefits, that we've already discussed, the major increases on the professional fees line, is 10,000. That's for sewer sinkhole repairs. We discussed that one already. On the utilities line, there's an $860 increase that we're projecting based on current usage and potential NIPA rate increases. And then a additional 1,000 on the repairs of equipment line for sewer jetting machine repairs and maintenance.
Jetting machines for when we clear blockages and clean pipes. So there's, annual, like about every 3 months, we take the machine out and go to sections of town and clean pipes with it.
Right, then jumping up to the revenues, the sewer service charges line, that is an agreement we have with Town of Greenberg, the East Irvington Sewer District agreement. So we bill them for 10% of the salary of our employee in the sewer department. So that's the amount that they reimburse us for. So taking all of that into account, we're proposing a 4% increase in the sewer rates, which is entirely separate from the other rate structure. And just to put that in perspective of what the numbers are, currently it's 69 cents per unit, and that would increase to 72 cents per unit. And for a year, I think that would be, for a single family household, probably about $10.
It's an increase of 3 cents.
Any questions? That's it. So we are adjourning?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and I don't need to do a motion or anything, because that's not.
You should motion to
I
adjourn.
motion to adjourn in a
Yeah.
session?
It's a public meeting.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Jim.
Jim, thank you so much.
Yeah.